Through the years, real estate practitioners have constantly evolved and embraced change to better serve our buyers and sellers. As a result of the recent NAR settlement, we are entering into the next phase of the profession's transformation and growth. I'm Tracy Dunn, and I have the distinct honor of serving as the 2024 president of the Realtor Alliance of Greater Cincinnati. Today, I will be joined by several of my peers who will provide insight on the changes that are taking place in advance of the settlement's mid-August implementation date, specifically as it pertains to our MLS listing service rules and regulations, updates to our contracts and forms, and a look at the upcoming trainings and professional development courses to help you succeed in your day-to-day real estate practice. As I noted, the real estate profession is constantly changing, and new technologies and requirements emerge. We've grown from a separate property listing sheet to having east and west editions of the printed MLS books to the exchange of information on the internet. We have embraced disclosure, whether it's regarding property condition or agency relationships. And now, in an effort to bring it all to full transparency to every interaction with buyers and sellers, we are incorporating new changes into our daily real estate activities. At this time, I'll turn the session over to Joe Duffy and Shelby Loudon to review the mandated practice changes because of the proposed NAR settlement. Joe currently serves as our RAGC treasurer and is the director liaison for our MLS operations committee, while Shelby serves as our director liaison for MLS users.
Thank you, Tracy. On March 15th, the National Association of Realtors announced an agreement to end litigation of claims brought on behalf of home sellers related to broker commissions. The agreement would resolve claims against NAR, over 1 million NAR members, and all state and local realtor associations, all association-owned MLSs, and all brokerages with an NAR member as a principal that had a residential transaction volume in 2022 of $2 billion or below. While this settlement is still subject to court approval, NAR has agreed to implement a number of policies and rules pertaining to MLSs and real estate practices that will go into effect on August 17th. Shelby and I will spend the next few minutes reviewing NAR's mandated changes from the proposed settlement, second, our CincyMLS rules and policy updates, and finally, updates that we've requested from Rappattoni.
Let's begin with NAR's mandated rules changes. First, as you know, all MLSs must eliminate and prohibit any requirement of offers of compensation in the MLS between listing brokers or sellers to buyer brokers or other representatives. CincyMLS will be removing the compensation field effective August 6th. Second, we must retain and define cooperation for MLS participation. Cooperation is the obligation to share information on listed property and to make property available to other brokers for showing to prospective purchasers and tenants. Third, we must eliminate and prohibit MLS participants, subscribers, and sellers from making any offers of compensation in the MLS to buyer brokers and other buyer representatives. To ensure compliance, CincyMLS will establish a fine schedule incurring penalties that rise with subsequent offenses similar to those we have in place for clear cooperation and coming soon violations. Once these penalties have been approved by the board of directors, they will be published and communicated to our members. Fourth, NAR requires the elimination of all broker compensation fields and compensation information in MLSs. Fifth, MLSs may not create, facilitate, or support any non-MLS mechanism, including providing listing information to an aggregator's website for participants, subscribers, or sellers to make offers of compensation to buyer brokers or other buyer representatives. Sixth, the proposed settlement prohibits the use of MLS data or data feeds to directly or indirectly establish or maintain a platform of offers of compensation from multiple brokers or other buyer representatives. Such use must result with the MLS terminating the participants' access to any MLS data and data feeds. Seventh, we must reinforce that MLS participants and subscribers must not, and MLSs must not, enable the ability to filter out or restrict MLS listings that are communicated to customers or clients based on the existence of or level of compensation offered to the cooperating broker or the name of brokerage or agents. Eighth, require compensation disclosures to sellers and prospective sellers and buyers. Finally, the settlement requires MLS participants working with a buyer to enter into a written agreement with the buyer prior to touring a home. We'll explore this requirement in more detail when we discuss the updates that have been made to the RAGC contracts and forms. Additionally, Ohio Realtors was recently successful in securing passage of legislation that will mandate buyer representation agreements for all real estate transactions. This legislation is pending Governor DeWine's signature and should go into effect this fall.
In addition to complying with NAR's MLS policy changes, CincyMLS previously made several rule changes and policy updates in an effort to make them more understandable and uniform. We delayed the implementation of these while we converted from and back to Rappattoni. Remember, you will be notified via CincyMLS emails when the following go into effect. First, documentation must be uploaded to the listing for new listings and changes to the listing agreement. Second, changes must be entered into CincyMLS within 2 business days. There is an exception for sold and leased property. Third, off MLS sale status will be used for properties that were sold, leased without full benefit of marketing in Cincinnati MLS. Used when the seller was not represented, will not be syndicated. Finally, we will require that a settlement statement and exterior front photo be uploaded. This will replace the current sold before sent process. Our fourth change involves availability policy. Specifically, if a property is not available for showings for more than 3 consecutive days, the property status must be changed to withdrawn. The current time frame is 6 days. Fifth, CincyMLS will only require that a clause grant authority for a property to be entered into the system, but will not require the exact wording we have today. Finally, for properties for sale by online auction, not a physical location, the first words in the marketing remarks must be online auction starting price listed.
CincyMLS has also initiated several Rappattoni enhancements. We will implement these once they become available. First, when entering listings, room types will be a new area of selection. Pre-selection of room types will narrow the entry display to only the specific rooms and their amenities for inclusion. This enhancement will eliminate scrolling through unnecessary information, lessen the probability of missing necessary rooms, and increase efficiency upon listing entry. Second, adding to listing entry requirements, bathroom entries will require the level, and bedroom entries will require both room dimensions and level. The benefits of this enhancement will be an accurate representation of the property, better comps, and more accurate appraisals. Third, off MLS sale, or OMS, status as described by Joe earlier, will be implemented and will apply to listings sold without full MLS marketing. Finally, document upload will be required to save changes or enter new listings. Rappattoni will display an error message if you try to save a listing and the required documentation has not been uploaded. As always, your CincyMLS will continue to share news and updates on the system changes and enhancements. We'll now turn the program over to Sue Bessel-Price, Chair of the RAGC Contracts and Forms Committee.
Your Contracts and Forms Committee has worked diligently to create and revise our documents to be more user-friendly with updated formatting and, most importantly, to be compliant with both the mandatory provisions in the proposed NAR settlement and with a recent passage of the Ohio House Bill 466, which will become Ohio licensed law. This particular bill will require all real estate agents, not just realtors, in the state of Ohio to complete a buyer representation agreement prior to showing a home. You'll notice in all of our forms we will outline today, we have included all of the required language from the NAR settlement and the new Ohio House Bill 466. In our due diligence, the committee has reviewed countless forms from various brokers and states to create the best-in-class forms for our members. In all forms where compensation is discussed, you will see the following statement. Legal notice regarding compensation. Broker fees and commissions are not set by law, are fully negotiable, and may be paid by seller, the buyer, the landlord, the tenant, or a third party, or by sharing or splitting the fees and commissions between brokers. This is required language. For buyer's agents, we have created an exclusive buyer representation agreement and a property-specific exclusive buyer representation agreement. In both of these forms, we've included language required by NAR proposed settlement agreement. That language is, specify and conspicuously disclose the amount or rate of any compensation the MLS participant will receive from any source and how this amount is determined. Indicate the amount of compensation which must be objectively ascertainable and may not be open-ended, such as buyer broker compensation shall be whatever, amount the seller is offering to the buyer. The MLS participant may not receive compensation from any source that exceeds the amount or rate agreed to with the buyer, and conspicuously identify that the broker's commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable, and to include any provisions required by law. Let's discuss the property-specific exclusive buyer representation agreement. The property-specific exclusive buyer representation agreement is to be used by our membership when they have a showing request via online lead or call in with someone they are meeting for the first time to show a home and need a quick signature to stay compliant. It is to be used on a limited basis to establish an exclusive agency relationship to represent the buyer and establish a compensation agreement between the buyer brokerage, and the agent for a specific property listed on the agreement. It was our goal to make this as buyer-friendly as possible and to protect our membership from issues such as procuring cause. The exclusive representation agreement is to be used during your buyer consultation with potential buyers you will be working with for the long term. This form benefits the consumers because it clearly and transparently outlines the services the agent will provide and how they will be compensated. This form takes the place of the previous buyer-broker services agreement dated February 2023. The new exclusive buyer representation agreement has been updated to be compliant with NAR Settlement and Ohio House Bill 466. In this form, we have outlined the buyer brokerage duties in a list format. These are identical to the duties that you would find in the Ohio Revised Code for licensed agents. In the duties of the buyer, we have added a section where the buyer must indicate whether they have or have not entered into any buyer representation agreement. And finally, we have the terms of compensation options, such as a retainer fee, a dollar amount, or a percentage of the purchase price. Additionally, we have another compensation line for any administrative fees required per brokerage. Also new to us, per Ohio House Bill 466, in both buyer representation agreements, the agent and brokerage are parties to the agreement. On the listing side of things, we have revised our exclusive right to sell agreement between the listing agent, listing brokerage, and seller. In Section 14 of this agreement, the compensation is clearly identified as to what, if any, compensation the seller would like to provide to the buyer brokerage. There are two selections. One is that the seller elects not to offer compensation, and the other is that the seller elects to offer compensation to the buyer brokerage in the amount of a flat fee or a percentage of the gross selling price. It also clearly states what the listing brokerage compensation would be and the total compensation the seller would pay. Additionally, I must address our contract to purchase, which we've offered jointly with Dayton Realtors since 2021. We understand that this contract serves a critical role in our marketplace. That said, at this time, Dayton has opted to develop a compensation addendum to the contract. The Realtor Alliance of Greater Cincinnati, under the advisement of our legal counsel and guidance from the Ohio Division of Real Estate, have opted to include the terms of compensation into the contract. This section enshrines the fees, if any, the seller will pay to the buyer brokerage. It is our strong belief, based on the assessments from the experts who have weighed in, that incorporating compensation into the contract itself brings full transparency to the transaction and benefits realtors and the clients we serve. We will continue to work together to create a document that best serves the industry and the clients in Southwest Ohio. At this time, I'll turn the program over to your President-elect, Dave Van Gassett, who will talk about the additional trainings we will be hosting on these forms and other practice changes throughout August.
Keeping our membership in the know is critical to our individual and collective success. As such, our Professional Development Committee has been hard at work providing timely training to best prepare members to meet tomorrow's challenges. Late last month, we hosted a 2-day accredited buyer representation course at no cost to attendees. This course offered key information and skills needed to today's real estate marketplace, preparing you to articulate and demonstrate your value and help buyers understand written buyer agreements. I encourage anyone that missed the opportunity to take advantage of NAR's offer to members to take the ABR course for free for the remainder of 2024, where we can take the course via a live interactive webinar online at your own pace. Visit nar.realtor and search ABR for more information. RAGC has 3 in-person trainings scheduled in August to help better prepare members on the pending changes to our practice. First, we have a 3-hour CE course, Buyer Consultation and Representation at our office on August 15th from 9 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. Sue Bethel Price will lead the interactive session where attendees will learn essential strategies for smooth and effective buyer representation, understanding critical components of buyer representation agreement, master conducting buyer counseling sessions with confidence, and gain practical skills through discussion, agreement reviews, and role-playing. On August 20th from 1 to 3 p.m., Mary Lou Butcher-Roth will instruct a session on authenticity in action, navigating new market dynamics at the RAGC office. During Mary Lou's session, she will equip attendees with the tools to approach client relationships with confidence and ease. This course is ideal for agents at any stage in their career, as we are all navigating these new waters together. And on August 22nd, from 1:30 to 3 p.m., Peter Chabris will instruct a session on how to present buyer-broker agreements at the office. This session will involve role-playing exercises and offer attendees practical skills to understand buyer needs, navigate agreements, and ensure a positive experience for all parties. We will continue to add classes and training sessions over the next few months, both in person and online. I encourage you to watch our weekly e-newsletter as well as our special professional development newsletter to stay apprised of the classes and training that will be offered. At this time, I'll turn the program back over to Tracy.
Thanks, Davan, Sue, Shelby, and Joe. I'd also be remiss if I didn't extend my heartfelt thanks to the members of our staff and our various committees, contracts and forms, professional development, MLS users, MLS operations, and our ethics and professional standards forum. All of them have put forth tireless effort on behalf of the association and its members. Change is never easy. However, I am confident that the professionals that embody the Realtor Alliance of Greater Cincinnati will not only meet the challenges of our new marketplace, but will emerge with a clear understanding and appreciation of the value that we offer in every real estate transaction. We, as Realtors, abide by the golden rule of doing unto others, for our buyers, for our sellers, and for all who aspire to own a piece of the American dream. These changes afford us the opportunity to do exactly that, as it provides a pathway to showcase our professional expertise and value at the first step of our clients' homeownership journey. As it states in the preamble to our Code of Ethics, the term Realtor has come to connote competency, fairness, and high integrity, resulting from adherence to lofty ideal of moral conduct in business dealings. The changes to our practice will ensure that all parties have a clear understanding of their responsibilities and will foster a more transparent marketplace. Before we conclude, I want to thank all of you for the amazing effort that you put forth each and every day to provide unparalleled professional service to buyers and sellers in the Greater Cincinnati marketplace. I can assure you that the Realtor Alliance of Greater Cincinnati and CincyMLS will continue to work tirelessly to provide you with tools and resources necessary to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow.